see what teams will do with this one.
We had a pretty fair playing path last time around. Let's take a look at where we're going to fall this time. Just to the west side of Severny, heading down towards Milter Power. It's kind of similar, actually, to the previous map in terms of accessibility. Nowhere really cut out here. Are we going to see that same congestion on the southeast side?
I think it will be very different here, just simply due to the plane path, right? A lot of teams have alternate drop spots, and at this stage in the tournament, with so much research and VOD review beforehand that's done by the teams, even with alternate drop spots, I think teams will know not to drop in certain locations. I won't be too surprised if there's no hot drops here again, even with the plane path this drastically different. And yeah, with a plane path like this, should be smooth sailing for all of the teams. It just comes down to, once again, that first circle. Sometimes it can be very dynamic in the form of a military base, or all the way up to the northeast, northwest, wherever it could go.
Everybody looking to touch down here. Nothing really going on in terms of those hot drops, as you say. You weren't expecting it. Thought it's very unlikely that it goes through, but this is a hard northwestern shift.
Yes.
We saw a mild northwestern shift on the previous match, but this very much harder up to that Zaki corner of the map. Canina Power going to be happy about that. I think it was Hyper that we saw take the strong compound on the bridge to the east of Georgia Pole before, so maybe they'll make that move again.
Definitely so. You can see that right in Watertown, next to the west side of Rozhok. One player, FS, already rotating to that square cube compound. Might be looking to just hold it down early for the team and wait for the rest of the team to get there. We'll see how this one plays out. Of course, you could still get a hard shift north, hard shift south, where it completely changes things on the second circle. This circle, though, a little bit familiar for all the teams, because it was pretty far in the north side in the previous match, so teams should have a good understanding of where teams might be.
And Hyper just getting some of that loot on board. Getting across early, see if they can maintain. Hail on Rozhok. Have got Nasa to worry about on the south side of them. Potential for a little argy-bargy on the South Rozhok Hill, if they want to go for it, but it looks like Nasa just going to regroup over towards those apartments instead. Just pick through this loot. Really strong place to loot, of course. We know it's just littered with the stuff. Almost immediately hopping on through. Level 3 backpack. Easy does it.
Yeah, level 3 backpack, always nice. Definitely would rather have that level 3 vest or level 3 helmet. Maybe you'll find it later. Rotations coming through, or actually, I don't think this is rotation. Teams are still trying to get to certain looting locations. I do imagine this match of Erangel is going to be a little bit more faster paced in that first circle. A lot of priority positions with a circle like this one that you want to take a hold of. And Hyper finishing up looting here. We already have 2 players now at that cube compound, so they know how important it is to hold that position in the very first circle of this match.
Yeah, they've moved up nice and heads up rotation. I'm looking at Junie from Daksan, who have sent actually 2 players from Daksan who have gone south of the bridge yet again. As we hop on over to them, they are actually now moving back up north. So they did just scout out towards the south side, but they did that previously, looking for Inco potentially. But they do just go over to that compound. They get back, though, pretty fast.
I feel like that's almost like just a protocol thing. We didn't really highlight it in match number 1, but they had 3 players loot on the north side of the island, and 1 player go down to the military base. And the plane path was very far off in a way where it was purposeful that 1 player went to military island. So maybe it's just in case, they get a military circle, they already have 1 player across no matter what. This time, it doesn't really come into effect. It didn't matter too much for them last match because they won the last match. So sticking to whatever worked from the previous match coming in here. And I actually do have a question for you. Do you think Benny wouldn't have won that last 1v1 if he had a first aid kit? Because if he had one, he wouldn't have held the angle to shoot, right? He would have been first aiding at that point, allowing Coops to get behind that tree.
I think, was it QX in the final clutch? I think it might have been. I'm not sure.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. I think that is interesting, actually. I feel like if you are going to go for that first aid, Coops does have more free time, but maybe you have that advantage. I don't actually know how many nades were in the back pocket for QX, so it could potentially, as much as Coops could have got that heal and launched some util, it could have been the same story the other way around. So I do think getting to the tree would have been a massive benefit for Coops, given the exact state of play, but I feel like you just can't read into it as much, because Coops would have been higher HP by that tree, but he might have not taken shots back out towards him as much as well. For me, I think I couldn't call it. I don't think
I'll tell you this
What are you
much.
thinking?
If the player QX, if he had a first aid, he definitely would have gone for that first aid at 1 HP, and you're getting out peaked by someone running in the open. Nerves are definitely kicking in, right? You have that first aid, you're 1 HP. There's no way you peak that player again. He's been out trading you hard at a huge disadvantage. So he would have gone for that first aid, and both players, Coops would have made it to the tree, and both players would have reset. And I'm just throwing this out there because I really do feel him not having the first aid helped him out a lot.
Maybe. I mean, maybe it just gave him that little push, but you take those shots when the enemy player is very close to cover. It's likely they're gonna more prioritize getting to that cover rather than taking return shots. So I mean, even on low HP,
that's true too.
Potential that peak is valuable, even if you have that first aid, because they're more preoccupied with position rather than return fire, especially when it's last player standing on both teams. It's tricky. It's tricky.
Definitely so. And we got a little bit of engagement here. Long range. I don't think it's going to come into a full fight fruition. And as I said earlier, right, this game's going to speed up a little more than the first one because a lot of priority positions here. And that is why these teams probably shouldn't engage in a full-out fight. A lot of teams are rotating in right here, and they don't want to be caught in a third party.
Sports are wanting to smoke on the vehicle, allow them a little bit more of an opportunity to cross. Top of Everest now for the Galaxy. They beat FaZe and SE as well to the punch here. The two teams who were up at the top of Everest in the previous Erangel. It was 628 who were able to claim control of it, but they did lose a player or two for their trouble. A nice early maneuver for Enigma Galaxy. The team denied at the last moments there. Coops going down in that fraught 1v1 that we were highlighting just before. And I've liked Enigma Galaxy's play so far. I feel like they have made a couple of missteps and there is maybe still more to work on, but it feels like they've got a little bit of a chokehold on a lot of the plays, a lot of the rotations of this lobby.
I definitely have to agree with that one. Seventh Element rotating in. Next Ruya coming in on the far southeast side. We are going to head into the second circle. This is going to be a huge one for a lot of the teams to figure out exactly what is in plan for them on the second Erangel match of the day. North or south, we'll see where it goes. It centers right on up. Beautiful.
I mean, why not? We had it with Pioneer. Let's go for another one around George Cole. Still a little bit more north-leaning, so a lot of the teams on the north side unlikely to look for that fast cross, that crash, but still everybody needed to clump up around those shooting range hills. A very treacherous bit of terrain that. And so everybody's going to try and place their feet carefully, move through it as safely as possible, but that's so much easier said than done.
Another team losing a player right there. I do believe that was Seventh Element getting a little bit too close to MB Esports. MB Esports in a nice spot, controlling the plane just a little bit south of shooting range. This is a great position if the circle does head north on the next shift, or could just keep centering right up. And Hyper doing a 2-2 split on the map feed. They might be looking to group up here, but Hyper team known for their splits. Surprised they're keeping that up here in the PMGC. A lot of teams that do splits do end up condensing a lot more often in PMGC just because of the caliber of the teams involved. But Hyper sticking true to it. Nongsham north of the river, FaZe south of the river. Same with Enigma Galaxy. Everything around the riverside is getting taken up right now.
It is getting very, very shoulder to shoulder. Close by positions, and it's going to be Akaze to find the first and knock, and the flush looks for more. NB hop out, but they're
Oh.
already shredded
Oh.
to pieces. 2 players already down, 1 low HP. He looks for the flush. What on earth is coming on through? And he controls this. 1 versus 4. But no, he's finally shut out. But in comes the cavalry. The roll down is there. And NB dispatch of the enemy rolling on up to them. Intense game for them. What a hold from NB.
Oh. Let me just say this real quick. The critical side of me wants to say he definitely did not have to go down and get thirsty, but I can't blame him at all. That 1v4 was right there within his grasp. He was really feeling it. And oh my, this is the second time though we've seen Intense Game do this maneuver. One of their players gets knocked and they just brunt force try to overwhelm the opposition, and now that's twice in a row where it's failed miserably. First against STE on Sandhawk, now once again against NB Esports. An Intense Game. Their strategy may have worked at the earlier stages, but not in PMGC.
It's just unfortunate there for Intense Game to fall down, but what a hold from Akaze. I mean, the biggest factor there, I don't think is the opening knock, it's the amount of damage he got on the follow-up players. Both of those players were torn so low, immediately one of them gets knocked, and he just doesn't have the confidence to go for that next peak with the low HP on that 3rd player. The 4th player is a little bit too late to the party. Sure, he gets that return knock, and they do actually end up getting the flush onto NB, but even so, like, you give them time to regroup, and what a regroup it was, by the way, for NB Esports. Immediate, effective as well, and that's exactly what you want to see in these PMGC stages.
It is not easy to get that much damage in a vehicle coming straight at you at a small, like, incline. The hood of the car is, like, providing extra cover. So those are some really nasty shots he laid out right before he got crashed upon. So very well done. The circle, once again, you know, it shifted, but it's centered right up onto that riverside. We're going to see a lot of river shenanigans, some bridge trolls, people sending their vehicles into the water and then just try and stay alive as long as possible. We're going to see all the tricks come out of the playbook for this one.
Next Ruya on the eastern side, wanting to move down this coastline, but a couple of teams in their way. And Hyper still playing around the area that they rotated to very early. And a nice position it'll be. I like Hale's spot on the north side of this river. I feel like it's going to be very difficult to contest that position with the fact that there are 3 teams in the shooting range hills. I don't think any of them are going to be able to have a clear shot at Hale. And from the south side, I think you'll be lucky to even get up towards them. So a really decent spot for Hale in my eyes.
Another team that I'm looking at, I do believe that's Nongshim Red Force already set up just on, or should I say underneath the bridge side. So they recognize where this is potentially going, and everything occupied around the river, the only spot open in the river itself. So that team's already set up there. More on the northeast, might get into a scuffle here with next Ruya, as both of these teams looking to control the eastern side.
I have spotted something. I know mysteries afoot. Morph have the high ground over next Ruya, but Frozen's being nice and careful for them. Keeping that mini 14 trained deadly on the angle as both of these teams start to push their way forwards, slowly creeping in with the blue zone. Not too much impetus for conflict right now. There isn't really that big drive to go for the fight at this point. Morph has still left Boboho all the way down there, right in the danger zone, though.
Yeah, teams are just exploring their options right now. It's going to be the next circle that really pops things off. And I was saying it was Nongshim Red Force, my mistake. It's actually NASA right there, right next to Inhyper. They're the team that's taking that river, and it is a hard shift down to the south. North of the river is still in play, so we'll see what these teams do. Now it is do or die for everyone on the north side.
I mean, Enigma Galaxy just got the shift of a lifetime there.
Oh, yeah, they did.
They had one in that last match as well, but they were able to play it out well, nearly taking that chicken dinner. If they hadn't lost a player early, it might have been a different story. 6-8 are back on top of Everest. They certainly do like that position, but they've taken a knock. They'll have to get that one back up. Try and find the reses to come on through. Sunan will do the honors, getting Hero back on his feet. They'll have to move a little bit further south. You've got 33Z down in the foothills. Inco moving in from Ruins, and they are the sole proprietors right now over in Ruins.
I think Inco is setting up for potential teams to try and take the Riverside down to the south. Because taking the road, definitely not a good decision. You can see already, yeah, teams using the river. They know there's not much left in play. NB Esports rotating from the plane straight into the water side, seeing what is open. Luckily for them, the bridge is open on the west side. And here comes next Ruya right into the water. Yeah, you do not want to be fighting on land, but this spot's already occupied by Nasser.
There is far too much to be going on healthily here. Next Ruya might have just put themselves in the losing spot on this scenario. Already the rocks controlled. A nade over the top from Xenox. That's pretty cruel. But hang on a minute. Nasa, they're taking damage. There's Coops coming on through. Is this a bit of cover for next Ruya? Can they find landfall? These nades from Xenox going a little bit behind the progression. They might find Yekta, sure, to get that flush, but the rest of next Ruya can start to emerge. And Nasa now are struggling on this northern side. I don't think I would have predicted this, but what a turn of events. It looks like next Ruya might just be able to hold on for a little bit longer.
Yeah, next Ruya definitely getting a lucky break there. The knock from Nigma Galaxy helping them out a lot. Now on the western side, Kanina Power trying to do the same thing. The river play. And here comes Morph coming in the distance. While this fight between Nasser and next Ruya still continuing. So next Ruya have 3 up. I do believe Nasser is down to just 1. And it's Xenox. Xenox gets a nice knock though on the other side of things. Gets the confirmation, almost goes down to the nade.
Just about sidestepped there. Ralph has moved forward. But in the meantime, there's another bridge to fight over. Kanina Power and NB. NB been on the warpath so far. 6 eliminations on their tally. Kanina Power struggling in the face of it. Sek wanted to get that spray down, get those flushes. They'll try and hold the bridge out for now. But in the meantime, Hale, displaced from their central strong position by a hard shift down to the south, have now got Udo Alliance to deal with. They did manage to find a knock, but it did get picked back up. There's the re-knock coming on through, and now Tiger can move a little bit further forwards, but maybe not that far forwards. Does get pushed back there. Has to realign his stripes.
Yeah, standing on top of that hill, definitely open sight lines from multiple angles. Udo Alliance might just have to send it in with the vehicle. And oh, he actually gets taken out right there, stopping the car short. Udo Alliance down to 1. And we're about to get that next circle shift. Blue zone covering the last player up for Udo Alliance. Can he do anything here? Get a knock? No. And this should be it. Oh, he gets that knock and gets the point confirmation. Hale eating a lot of casualties. That's because Nongshim Red Force, you can see right there on the minimap, they're here at the third party.
They do take those shots and the back lines get exposed. Udo Alliance, though, similarly taken down. 2 teams eliminated on the northern side. We knew it was going to be brutal. Here it is, laid out, all to play for. As the river has started to quiet down a little bit, but it is still going. Inco tried to dip their toe in, but don't have the best of times with it. The Piranhas of Morph snapped that one right up. They won't be able to continue here. Nigma Galaxy still holding in their compound on the south side.
This is definitely one of the more challenging circles of Erangel to deal with. Not very common. You have to play in this area along the riverside. What sparse cover you have can be huge, but players are getting cut down. And Hyper's still here with 4 players. They're biding their time. This could be a huge game for them to bounce back up on the leaderboards. They just need to make sure they don't lose any players here. They're heading into Inco. Inco down to 2. Good nade from Becker. Will it connect? Throws it. Falls just short.
Splits the middle there between the N-Hyper players. Next Ruya, remember they've been under this bridge for a while, and all of them are out of the zone. Inco guarding them through. In the meantime, Duxan, all 4 of their players alive in the crates of South George. Wanting to get the reses over onto Binny, keep all 4 of them alive. No eliminations so far, but FaZe are right next to them. 6 to 8 make a mad dash in front of them, trying to strafe through this open ground, but 33Z is left in the dust. He's knocked on the back lines, and Victorious nearly finds another. Not quite going to be able to do so, and it still seems like Duxan going to continue to be pressed against this blue zone.
3 teams now at the crates. SDE, great rotation. They did lose one, like you mentioned. 33Z left in the backlines. knocked. He was in the zone too. If he just stayed alive, that would have been a crucial position for them. But the battle rages on. Three-way fight, FaZe, Duxan, and STE. Is STE going to pressure them from the north side? They could third party this as FaZe is in a full-out engagement.
STE definitely had to make that rotate with 3 players. Can they hold this one down? FaZe, Duxan back and forth now. 2 players on the sideline. And Zipyan tears through them with the DBS. FaZe fall and Duxan have to move on with 3 players alive. Junie, very difficult to get the res here. He might just be able to crawl towards the zone if they've got the time to make it work. But STE have other ideas. They might be looking to push.
STE just a little bit too slow. The fight's already over. That res will come out. 3 players will be up for the side of Duxan and 3 for STE. I think they have the zone to worry about more so, though, because, man, this circle probably not going to go on to them in the next shift. Meanwhile, on the Riverside, what has happened? So many teams have gone out. Inko's still alive. Konina Power was here, but they are long gone, and now it's 7th Element looking to take the fight. In the double nade, it is good. 2 down for the side of NB Esports.
They're not in the water, but they get sunk anyway. 2 players fall. NB, they've been holding around this area for quite a while now. But 7th Element, you're right, they are just going to put that pressure on. Over on the eastern bridge in the meantime, Inko trying to stay alive in the face of N-Hyper, trying to cross the bridge. The first knock goes well for N-Hyper, playing as 3 players. They've been crossing this bridge now for a while. They've been on the top side of it. And Becca will no longer be able to hold them out. Just Vitali on this angle at this point. 5 eliminations found for N-Hyper. They're looking to rack up the points here, looking to put themselves in the middle of these tables.
Yeah, N-Hyper doing a really great job. I'd say working through that mess of Inko and Nassar was still there too, I believe, and only losing 1. That's a win in my book. And they still get that zone. The zone is still in play for them on that little sloping ridge leading into the water. And, well, I mean, Nigma Galaxy, we have to mention them too. They're looking like they might just take this game through position alone.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate for everybody else, but Nigma Galaxy, you're right, definitely in that central position, in a lot of control. Very unlikely anyone approaches from the south. Everest got cleared a long time ago, and swinging through that area at this point, pretty much a death sentence. So Nigma Galaxy have got a very limited cone of fire to handle, but if Vitali lands shots like that, and Lord keeps going down, if Nigma Galaxy get picked apart, there's potential for a crash coming through from a team like maybe even 628.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. The whole entire lobby has to team up against Nigma Galaxy at this point to really crack that fortress open. Yeah, you can see SCE running out in the open. They're out of smokes. They make it to the ridgeline with 2. They could get that reset with 3, but there is a lead coming out for the 7th Element. I think that's going to hit them here. Shing picks up a knock. Where did that nade go? I think it flew too far. They're going to get that reset. 7th Element really needs to land this one. Alian. Nade primed, in hand, throws it over. I don't think that's going to connect. It might be close, and it didn't.
A little bit of damage.
That one did, though.
Much better from Suna. Now has to go a little bit deeper over onto Alian's position, but Divine steps out of the water. Alian falls, and it is just Divine left. Shing is still alive, looking for that heal.
Wow.
And 628 have made this crossing, but can they hold on to it? Divine falls as well. It is 628 keep going.
Over the bridge top.
Hang on a minute, no, Divine's been swimming all the way through, and Benny's here to play. 4 Duxan will finally fall to Coops from Nigma Galaxy with the high ground. We knew they were going to be so brutal here, and it is Duxan to fall first.
I'm surprised the player of SDE was pushing over the top of the bridge. That was extremely risky and didn't work in his favor. You can see Nigma Galaxy trying to get a third-party angle now, and they did this last match. You know, they left the safety of their compound to try and get some third-partying in, so they're still sticking true to that. ST Shing will go down here. I think he could crawl down for a revive. Sunan, last one up. 7th Element still alive. Divine is still there. You mentioned it. He just kept swimming. He could time a nice peek from underneath the water. He could eliminate the 6-8 team.
Shifan on the off angle. 3 players from N-Hyper. They've been encroaching nice and slowly, nice and effectively as well. Making a lot of points. But the shift goes away from them. This is so Nigma Galaxy sided. I mean, you called it previously. I think this is the death sentence circle. It is very much locked in at this point. 3 eliminations. but that's all you need. I wonder how their ammo reserves are doing. I just caught that there, and it doesn't look like there's much left in the DP for, I think it was Lord we were on board with. So potential dry ammo supplies here for Enigma Galaxy, and that might come back to bite them if the teams outside can hold off long enough.
Yeah, maybe, but no teams really is up. So N-Hyper will provide the biggest challenge, but can N-Hyper make it through the zone with all three? It looks like it. They have firm control of the land. Everyone else pretty much just trying to survive in the water. You do have E on the other side with 2, but even them, you see right there, trying to pick up whatever loot they can, whatever util they can. Inko finally goes down, losing that zone in the tower. Enigma Galaxy, they're getting antsy. They want to get more elimination points right now.
Ralph just able to light that one up, get that shot down. Divine swam all the way past 628, looking to keep that pressure on though along this coastline. The nade doesn't quite connect. Divine has one of his own. Thinks that the rock are more dangerous, but another nade from Sunan looks pretty good, and that will close the bidding. Xing able to find that final nade. Now, can N-Hyper keep this roll going along this coastline, ladder up a little bit further, because it is only a couple of players left from 628, as now Enigma Galaxy look to extend their influence. But with 10 eliminations, N-Hyper have done a lot of work so far.
Oh, one of N-Hyper goes down here. The 2v3, another player goes down. SDE looking to win this 2v3. GK first taking a lot of damage through the smoke, and, well, Enigma Galaxy is here to clean things up. They identified the weak side. N-Hyper goes out. Now it's a 2v4 situation. Surely, not N-Hyper, Enigma Galaxy takes this one. One of them goes down, though, John. So I'm going to hold that for now.
They might have been looking to get a little bit of a resupply on some of these bodies here, but Coops looking for that res. Xing actually takes away a lot of that utility. The bird is there, still a vehicle. They give Coops up as well, and they are just going to let that one lie. Ralph crashing back to the compound. I mean, they know they have the walls as cover. I feel like they probably could have committed for the res there and brought Coops back into the fold, but it's just not quite going to work for them this time around. They don't pick him back up at a 3 versus 2.
Yeah, that res would have been very risky. We saw Xing just pick up 4 nades, couple of mollies. If the res continued there, it would have been another player down. Coops is going to crawl all the way back. Is he going to make it? I don't even think it really matters, though, because this next zone is going to go to nothing, and the center is right on top of the compound. So SDE will have to push in the wide open, and Coops is even going to get revived potentially.
Coops
I think he is.
Looking to get through on the smoke train. Ralph dashes out. I said they needed to pick him up before, and they are just going to try and keep that one going. And Coops will be picked up indeed. The smokes give them the cover that they needed. Now 628 with it all to go for, with 2 players alive. 8 eliminations so far. I said this was potentially a team that could make it all the way. I didn't really expect to be close to right here, but either way, they make it this far. But with only 2 players standing, in the face of 4, in the face of the utility that it looks like Enigma Galaxy are likely to still have in the back pocket. They have been expending a lot of nades. They haven't been using a lot of smokes. They've just been holding these sightlines. And they can look to just shut this one down. Coops swings out, looks to go wide. Ralph crossing the road as well. They're putting the pressure on. They're not letting this come to them. They are taking this into their own hands. A break wide, and Coops is still forwards, rolls down for 1, swings out, pops out the buggy, doesn't find the second, but there's the backup from Ralph. And a clean finish from Enigma Galaxy on their compound position. They're able to capitalize, and a great finish coming through from this roster. A really, really solid finish coming on through. They were gifted with the circle time and time again, but I like that flex out